Welcome to the Finding Joy podcast. It's episode 3, Chickens, Ducks, Lucy Lou, and Sharpsburg. I'm Jerry Williams along with Rob Langer and Benji Shepard. On this episode, a couple of different segments we've got lined up for you today. Another entry into What's on Your Wall, and we're going to join Ken Hammock for that.
Yeah, he is one of the underwriting specialists here with the Joy FM. We'll sort of explain what that is too when we find out what's on Ken's wall. But the idea is if you put something on your wall, it probably represents joy in your life.
That is the whole basis of the Finding Joy podcast. We are spotlighting joy that exists in the lives of people all around us. We like to say we're on a mission to find joy wherever it happens to be, whether that's here inside the studios of the Joy FM or out and about.
Right.
And we've been out and about on every episode so far.
Right, and we're going to head to Rob's hometown of Sharpsburg coming up. But let me just say this. I know that Christmas is coming soon, and we have, at the end of this episode, a very special gift for you. But we don't want you to open it yet, so don't skip forward.
Yeah, don't skip forward. Don't skip forward. And and listen through to the whole end of the episode because it's well worth it.
But first things first, we are going to be joined by our new friend, Ashley Wyatt, the Egg Lady, and she is from Rob's hometown of Sharpsburg.
Right, which is in Coweta County, kind of the southwest metro Atlanta county. There's the incorporated part and unincorporated part, and the incorporated part only has like 350 or so people.
Really? Is that
yes,
all?
Yes, that's it. I mean, you blink and you're through the town of Sharpsburg, but there's a lot more to Sharpsburg, which is actually between Noonan and Peachtree City. I have so many people that come up to me and say, where's Sharpsburg? When I say between Noonan and Peachtree City, I get it now.
One of the things we've got to sort of mention, though, Rob, before we get to Ashley's house.
Yes.
Because you mentioned she's the egg lady. She has chickens, and I met her through my having bees and her having chickens, bought some eggs from her and stuff. We found out on the drive there that Rob was less than excited about this particular visit because he's got kind of a fear of barnyard animals in general and chickens in particular.
I'm from New York City. We don't have farms in the city, you know.
You could have told us, Rob, but anyway, we kept him protected, I guess.
Yes.
All right, so let's get going. Let's load up in the car, head to Sharpsburg to visit Ashley, the Egg Lady. So we are on our way. Another road trip with the Finding Joy podcast.
Here we go.
We're going to Sharpsburg to visit the Egg Lady, Ashley Wyatt. And I first met Ashley, I think it was through Facebook. Mm-hmm. She had commented when I first started keeping bees a little more than a year ago. She had commented that was something that had always interested her, and so we corresponded a little bit. And she came in and visited the station once. She never did show up at a beekeeper meeting, but she bought some honey from me. Mm-hmm. And then she started keeping chickens.
So you familiar with where Ashley lives, Rob? Because that's your hometown.
Yeah, it's just south of where I am.
It's a pretty ride through here.
It is.
Is this a street coming up here? Yeah, there's a stop sign. And it's it! Yay! Look at that. Navigating with no GPS.
Yes.
Rob Langer.
Like the old days.
We didn't have the GPS when I was your age. We had something called a paper map.
The GPS was an intestinal condition.
Yes.
Oh, wow. This looks like the place.
Oh, yeah, I see chickens.
All right.
Hey.
This is Ashley, this is Rob, and this is Benji.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Hey there. Well, it's beautiful out here. Look at that big is that a chicken or a rooster?
I have all hens.
All hens.
Okay.
Really? So my daughter thought maybe you'd have some roosters, having
No.
as many chickens as you have, just
I
for
don't think
protection.
I don't think my neighbors would be happy with that.
How much land do you have out here?
This is a little under an acre.
Rob, you okay, man?
So far, so good.
I talked to my girls this morning and I told them y'all were coming and to behave.
These are
And the girls, by girls you mean the hens?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
these are really rather large.
They are huge.
Yeah, my gosh.
Wow. What sort of hens are these?
So I have some Buff Orpingtons, some Cochins,
Which are which? We've got some that look like the tabby orange color, sort of.
That's the Buff Orpington,
Okay.
the yellow. The Cochins have the feathers on the legs. They look like they're walking around with bell bottoms on.
Got it.
Yeah, so I have some that are black, some that are barred, which is the multicolored, the gray, dark gray, black. Then I have 2 leghorns. I have
Leghorns. So
Like
that's an
foghorn.
actual kind of chicken.
The smaller breed right here is a leghorn.
That does look a little bit like foghorn leghorn.
I do say it
Yeah,
does.
and she's they call her a silver with her coloring. A silver leghorn. And I have a Lakenvelder, which is the black and white one.
Okay.
And then I have a couple of barnyard mixes, which is a kind of a crossbreed. The goldish red one, she's probably a mix between a Rhode Island Red and an Orpington.
So how many are there here?
Right now I have 12.
Okay. So at one point you had 19, right?
Yes. I got some that were in need of adoption, and they had to have a home. So my big heart said, why not?
Right.
These are a mixture of hens and pullets, and pullets are a hen that's less than a year old.
Oh, okay.
They're more prone to lay more often, but right now we're very scarce on eggs.
Because it gets dark so early?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The sound that they are making is not just like a typical.
Bok, 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 bok,
Right,
bok.
right.
There's a little, almost a
They
whiny
chat.
undertone.
There is.
Yeah. Now is that their normal?
Yes,
So we're not
yes.
making them nervous. That's not a nervous noise.
Nope, that's normal chicken talk.
Okay.
So did you start with the white
I did.
coop and then you had to add this on?
Yes. The white chicken coop was a Facebook marketplace buy. I re-roofed it myself because it really needed, it had some shingles that were coming off. So pulled the old roof off and put the new one on. And then we had a guy from church come help build the chicken run. Yeah, he's very handy. He knows what he's doing. He's got chickens of his own, so called him the professional.
So they got room to just sort of roam around and stuff. Now, do you ever let them out in the yard too?
I will let them out in a minute.
Oh, okay.
They'll come out here.
You ready for
this
that,
is
Rob?
about time for them to come out.
Is it
That's why they're
really?
looking at me like, "Are you going to let me out?" Yeah, this is time for them to come out, and they stay out most of the day, and then they put themselves up at night. When it starts to get dark, they just go in. They just know, that they can't see well in the dark. So because of that, it's time to go.
What's the xylophone for?
That is
There's
their
a xylophone
toy.
Do they
there.
play it?
Yes, they
Really?
peck at it and scratch at it, and it's entertainment for them.
Wow.
They like color and they like noise. Because believe it or not, they do get bored. You would think it's a chicken, how is it going to get bored? But
Right.
they just kind of get restless. And
And they just get ready to make some music and they go
I
and
do
do
have
it,
a
right?
video somewhere of one of my chickens playing with the xylophone.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to
great.
record it because I was like, nobody's ever going to believe this.
Find that and send
Dig
it
that
to
up,
us.
Yeah,
That
sure.
would be great.
Yeah.
If we walk over the place just a little bit, because there's more stuff over here.
Yes, there's
This
some
looks
nesting
like a dog
Yes.
crate, and then is that? I see an egg.
That
this
is
where
a
they
golf ball.
Oh, it's a golf ball.
okay.
Okay.
So
Is that to fake them out and to
You-
encourage them to
you
lay
do.
in there?
You encourage them to lay, and sometimes they get mean with the other hens and they peck their eggs. So this kind of confuses them, and it makes them go, "Oh, well, nothing's happening. I'm not able to break it, so I might as well leave it alone." And the doghouse has dirt in it because chickens take dirt baths.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some nesting boxes I keep out in the open when they're free ranging. They can go in there if they feel like it's too far or it's too occupied over here. We have the 3 over there, and then they can nest. There's 3 nesting boxes right here in the coop.
So, at what point during the day do they generally tend to lay the same time of day?
Yes. My leghorns, they typically lay every day, but now that the days are getting shorter, they've been laying like maybe every other day, but they always do it in the mornings.
Okay.
And then some of them don't want to until the afternoon. I don't know why. But they just don't. They want to.
Well, they want to get up, have a leisurely breakfast, a cup of coffee, maybe read the paper. And then we'll get around to laying eggs.
Yeah.
Now, did you grow up on a farm or?
I grew up on a lake.
Okay.
I grew up here in Coweta County, and so I'm just a country girl. I grew up riding horses and being around farm animals and doing 4-H. So it was just kind of natural to get my kids involved in it, and
Do they?
we all love it. So
Do they do a lot of the upkeep with the chickens?
my youngest, my 7-year-old, is like the chicken king.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Justice loves to come out here and collect eggs. He'll help clean. I mean, they're like
this
his
is a
little
lot
babies.
cleaner than I imagined a chicken coop would be, and it looks really nice.
So let me ask you, when the weather gets chilly like it has been the last few nights here, where it's getting down near freezing, I think we had a couple of overnights a little below freezing.
Yeah.
Do you have to do anything special for them with that?
No, the coop that they have is really sufficient for them.
Well, can they all fit up in there?
Yes, they
Okay.
can.
Wow.
There's a couple bars that they can roost on, and their feathers are sufficient to keep them warm.
Okay.
They all huddle up together.
Yeah, they look pretty fluffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure do.
There's a couple of them that are molting, so you can see where they're missing some feathers, but that's normal too, for this time of year. So, well, I can let them out, and
Oh, that'd be
if
great.
nobody's
You gonna be okay with that, Rob?
Yeah, no,
Rob said he was a little afraid of barnyard animals. Maybe this is gonna be therapy for you.
I
Rob.
will ask Benji to
Yeah, if we can
close
get
the
the gate.
Oh, sure.
and then I'll open this big door.
All right, the gate is closed.
There.
And they're off.
Yes, they love it. They're like, thank you.
Well, hello, ladies.
And they're each named.
Oh, they all have
They
names.
all have
That's
names.
great.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the lifespan?
I think it depends on their breed, but some of them can live to be about 10 years old.
Really?
Wow.
No, they won't lay that whole time, will they?
No, I think after about 5 or 6 years, it depletes over time.
Okay, so let me ask you the hard question. After they stop laying, do you eat them?
I couldn't.
Okay.
Right.
But is that where the chickens we eat?
No, not necessarily,
Okay.
because there's
They heard me
some
talking about
breeds-
eating them.
I'm out of here.
There are some breeds that are
Better
bred for
meat.
eating meat,
Gotcha,
and
okay.
there's some like the Leghorns that are better for laying eggs. I've had other friends that have chickens that had a really mean rooster and they ate him. I mean, it does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really just have them for eggs and companionship.
Yeah, you
because-
got to be attached to them after, a certain amount of time.
Right.
How could you do something like that?
Yes.
I get it.
Yes.
Now, Ashley, did you connect with Jerry by hearing him talk about his honey on the air, or was that another meeting?
I think when I first got the bees that you maybe liked something or posted something on Facebook or mentioned that was something that you had been interested in doing.
Yes. All of this is like the simple life, like how we're supposed to live.
Right.
Everybody made their own food and grew their own food and ate eggs and honey.
Yeah.
And so I've always just been interested in all of the above. And before I knew that Jerry was getting bees, I connected with one of the school teachers that my kids had in elementary school, and he is a beekeeper. And so he gave me the basic, this is what the lifespan is, this is how the honey's produced. And then from there I was like, well, let me see some bees. And this would be great education for my kids. Can we take them, out there too? So we did. We all 4 went out to see his bees. And I was like, okay, this is way more time consuming than I had imagined. So I have put it off. But we have a community garden over here for our church, and they have hives there. And I'm
cool.
trying to
I have to rebut the time-consuming part in relation to chickens.
Oh.
Because I've done a little research on chickens, and I thought, well, I tell you what, I jumped in with the right one first with the bees, because the chickens are daily.
Mm-hmm. They are.
I mean, daily. The bees are not.
I think it's all glorious. It's, you know.
That was something I was talking to Jerry about not too long ago, was the fact that it's sort of miraculous when you look at the process for what bees do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Do you get the same feeling with chickens and how they do what they do and lay their eggs?
Yeah, I do. I think it's really neat. Somebody posted a video on Facebook of one of their hens that was nesting, and they had a box that you could open the side of it. They filmed her laying the egg and everything.
Wow.
It was so interesting to see how that worked, and she just went about her way like, that's nothing, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure the bees do the same thing. Like, this is nothing.
I feel like,
It's just what we do.
when you see that sort of thing happen, and when you experience what you do, it can be sort of a this moment of worship, or a continuous
There certainly can
collective
be a sense
of
awe
worship.
Yeah.
at what God has created and how He has set things into order. And I think it's a great learning experience for not only for you, but your kids as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's marvelous. My 7-year-old thinks that it's Easter every day. You know, let's go see if there's any eggs. Let's go hunt for eggs. So,
And look at them, man. They look like they are having so much fun right now.
Yeah.
They're
Life is simple.
They're
Life
doing
is
their
good.
thing.
Yeah.
it's really fun to watch them run, like full blown run across the yard, because they kind of look like mini pterodactyls. Just, you
We have
know.
to see if we can get her to chase Rob.
Yeah.
Look at.
Yeah, she went straight through the hole.
Oh, okay. I
I was going to say,
wait a
I was
minute.
going to comment on how it's nice and fenced, but that chicken just went right through the
that's,
fence.
That's the leghorn.
She had a nest over there by that tree, so I wouldn't be surprised if she just laid an egg over there.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now they're all moving over that way.
And they help with bug control.
I'll bet they do.
Real? Okay.
Is
Yeah.
that what they're sort of pecking at on the ground?
If they don't find a yummy worm or a bug, then they'll eat the tops of the grass. I've seen them kind of scratch at trees looking for bugs, and they love to get around the trees because base of trees is where bugs love to live. So,
Have
and-
you had any problems with any kind of predators, dogs, or what do we have here?
Coyotes, maybe?
Coyotes, or
I have a dog that protects them.
Oh,
I have
good.
him put up right now. He doesn't stay out here with them all day. I trained him because when they were little, he wanted to eat them.
yeah.
But I got him used to them, and his natural instinct now is just to protect. He'll lay with them, they can peck at him, and he doesn't. He's just like, whatever. We came out one morning, and he was barking up at the tree, and sure enough, there was a possum up there, and possums love chickens.
Oh.
Raccoons love chickens. So
The chickens themselves or the eggs?
the chickens themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But we set out a trap and relocated it about a mile away so that it could make its home somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
Now, you mentioned that the church that you go to has hives.
You can say which church
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
I'm a member of Crossroads Church,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
which is one of the larger churches here in Coweta County. I lead in a cancer care ministry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'll be doing a support group starting in January.
What drew you to that?
I was just going to say, I bet there's a story there.
Yeah.
Of course. So I lost both my parents to cancer. My mom when I was 12 and my dad when I was 21. So I was a caregiver, and I know how precious time is here. We don't have a lot of time with our friends and family. So just being able to give back any little bit, putting a smile on somebody's face, or just being able to do something for them when they're not able to do it themselves. And then I was diagnosed with cancer almost 2 years ago, but 2 years ago in February. So I have a rare non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I am a low stage. I'm a 1B. So I have a good idea of both worlds of being a caregiver and being a patient. And I don't see how anybody could go through cancer diagnosis or treatment without God. It is like incredible to me how you can have something that hard hit you or your family and you don't have something to grasp onto. So that's one main reasons why I joined the cancer care ministry at the church.
So what's your prognosis?
It's a low stage. They just keep an eye on it.
But no
No
kind
cure,
of treatment
no,
or anything?
no
or?
real good treatments or anything. Most people live the rest of their lives with it and they're fine. It's not a terminal illness
Right.
Oh,
or
okay.
terminal cancer. Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like somebody that lives with an autoimmune disease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful out here.
It is.
It's
I
just
love
so
this
peaceful.
place.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, like, it was gloomy and cloudy, and then you guys got here and the sun came
That's
out.
right.
And it's like, woo.
It was Rob's
that's-
sunny disposition.
We
stop.
try
brought
to
it.
bring
That's
that
what
with
it
us
is.
wherever we go. Now, I bought a dozen eggs from you.
You did.
A while back, and you told me I was your first customer.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, what have you been doing with your family of 5, right?
Yes.
You're not eating all these eggs yourself.
We have been.
But you told me you were donating some.
I did
and-
donate some to friends that have helped us out. Most of the eggs just get eaten. I mean, and now they've slowed down
Yeah,
so
that's
much.
true.
We've had to buy store-bought eggs, and it's like, man, I'm cheating on my chickens, you know? But
See, I would have thought that would have been one of. Was there anybody in the family who was a little? I'm not too sure about this whole chicken thing.
no,
Okay. See, if there had been, my thing would have been, yeah, but we'll never have to buy eggs again.
That's
Right.
right.
And then that person said, wait a minute, I was told
yeah.
we would
Right.
never have to buy eggs again.
No, there was no doubt because everybody loves eggs, and they're like, fresh eggs, yes,
Yeah.
score.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. All right, Rob, you want to go pet him now?
Will they allow you to?
I will grab
them
one
or
and
pick 'em up?
I will pick one up for you guys so you can pet one of them. Some of them are more docile than the others. The leghorns are the ones that freak out the most.
They seem like they have that disposition.
Yes, but right now they're enjoying the compost. Do you guys want to walk towards
Yeah,
them? or
yeah.
do
Why
you
not?
wanna-
Let's do it.
They might get a little skittish, and I might have to.
Well, who would get skittish first, me or the hens?
We'll find out soon.
Right.
So if somebody wants to hold on to this,
I will. I got that for you.
They're all hanging out under the tree
they
now.
are.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to kind of scatter them out a bit.
Come on, ladies.
And I talked to them. Hey, girl.
Look at that. There we go. We got a
Now, which
chicken.
one is this?
Lucy Lou.
Lucy Lou.
She says I'm gonna be a good girl this morning,
Aw.
but she is
Lucy Lou. You're
very
all right.
soft.
I'll say. Oh, okay. You're all right. You want to get in there, Rob?
Hey.
You're like, what are you subjecting me to?
What is this?
See, they're being nice.
Yeah.
Hi, friends. You gonna talk? Okay. Okay.
Like, okay, I'm done. Yeah, I'm out of here.
Awesome.
Now, you were saying earlier the foghorn might have laid an egg over there?
The leghorn.
The leghorn. Foghorn. Leghorn. Foghorn. No, I
Yeah.
say. Sorry.
Yeah. So they're
Well,
they're
can we
so
go peek?
small. Yeah, they're so small that they can
Fit through the holes.
fit
Yeah.
through the holes in the
I'm
fence.
just curious to see if she actually did.
Yes, I see them over there. If you look close to the
Oh, yeah.
tree, you can see some eggs
Oh, I see
there.
them.
There's
Okay,
a bunch
yeah.
of eggs in there.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's
Oh, my
awesome.
goodness.
That's their little hiding spot over there. They just
And did she just lay all of those all at once, or is that just
no.
that's
She
over
probably
time?
laid one, and the other leghorn probably laid one. There's a couple over there, so they've been doing it for a couple of days.
Oh, wow.
Have you figured, based on everything you've had to, all your expenses so far, and on the feed, and on the buying the water containers, and the coop, and the chickens themselves, how much you're actually paying for a dozen eggs? Based on
Way more than store-bought eggs. Yes. It's definitely.
But
not.
over
It's a higher
time,
quality,
probably that will start to come back down.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Yes.
is that why you do it, though?
No,
Oh no.
Okay.
no. I think it's more of a educational experience for my kids. It teaches them to be responsible, and it was a really neat way for them to learn more about chickens and about the different breeds. And I mean, you had to wait like 21 weeks for an egg. It was like, come on, are we ever going to get some eggs? So
That's forever, man.
yeah, it was fun coming out every day. Is there an egg yet? Is there an egg yet? So when they did lay the first egg, it was kind of a big deal. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, this has been fascinating.
Yes, it has
I mean,
been,
we're
yeah.
going to have to get some pictures and
Yeah.
video and stuff
Yeah,
before we go.
Did you get enough chicken noise?
I got some good chicken.
Okay.
Good.
I did.
See, you survived the chickens.
I did, yes.
Although, I got to tell you, I can't believe you called them a foghorn.
Foghorn. Well, I had a cartoon
Instead of a
character on
leghorn.
my brain, you know?
After we had stopped rolling tape, Ashley said, "Oh, wait a minute, I have something for you."
Right.
And she ran into the house and she came back out and she gave us this lovely little rock that was painted and it says "Joy" on the front. And we'll put a photo of this up on the website at some point. It has her initials and then it says Psalm 98:4 and the hashtag Coweta Rocks. So that was very sweet.
And I think that is something that a few people around Coweta County, Georgia,
Yes.
will go around and place these rocks for people to find.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't know if she wants us to hide that one somewhere, but I kind of want to just keep it. you
Yeah,
know?
we've got it
Yeah.
on display here in the studio. And I think she said it was for the studio.
Okay, great.
Also, in that episode, in that segment, we talked about the xylophone there in the
Yeah.
chicken coop. None of the chickens played it for us there, but Ashley said she did have video, and so we will have that up as bonus material on the website before too awful long.
You can't resist a chicken playing a
I know.
xylophone.
How
So, you know,
Could
Gotta
be
go
the
check that out.
yeah, he could be a member of a future worship team, you know, playing the xylophone. You know, that could be a good gimmick for a church,
that's,
you know.
that's kind of a stretch, though, Rob.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
just saying, man.
Oh, boy. Still to come, we're going to do a What's on Your Wall with Ken Hammock, and we do have that special Christmas gift at the very end of this episode for you, but please restrain yourself and don't fast forward to it just yet. Just hang on.
You don't
We'll have it
open
for
your
you.
presents before Christmas.
That's
so
right, yeah.
Don't skip forward.
But we know you're in the Christmas spirit already, and we just want to let you know that on the Joy FM, if you tune into the Joy FM, we are going to be starting our 100 hours of Christmas music on Sunday the 22nd. It's just going to be nonstop Christmas music, no talking. We all get a break so we can spend time with our families. But most important, we're going to give you the soundtrack so that you can find joy and have some great memories with your family during the Christmas season.
Yeah, and if you listen to the Joy FM on your radio, you can do that, or also online at thejoyfm.com. There's lots of different ways. We've got a newly designed app that you can listen on, and you can listen with your smart speaker, too.
And it's also Apple CarPlay compatible, the new app. So if you have that in your car, just plug that in and you're good to go with Christmas music the entire season.
Coming up, it's What's on Your Wall with Ken Hammock.
Okay, so starting a business where all the profit is donated to charity, it's kind of an unusual business plan. But Dara Buczynski at Epiphany is doing just that.
I'm 50 years old, and I was like, I've given my life to you, but I'm giving my time to you. I'm giving every waking minute to you, however you want to use that for your glory.
To hear how God is using Epiphany to raise thousands of dollars for charity, check out the latest episode of the Jewel Show podcast by going to thejoyfm.com/Jules.
So it's time for another What's on Your Wall episode where basically we invade someone's office and ask them about the kind of stuff that they have on their wall and why, what the significance is, because if you've got something on your wall in your office at work, chances are it means something to you.
Exactly. And we are walking toward our friend and coworker and underwriting specialist for the
And
Joy
all-around
FM.
super guy.
Yes.
I've boosted his ego now.
Yeah, his name is Ken Hammock, and there he is. Look at that look on his face. We have a microphone
We have a
for
little
him.
something for you today, Ken. It's a microphone.
All right, Mike.
Guys aren't right.
We're going to need this
No,
back.
we're not.
We need to hold it very firmly so we won't get a whole lot of noise.
But we ain't wrong, Ken. I don't know what that means. I just figured I would say it.
So this is Ken's office. Now, somebody just mentioned that you were an underwriting specialist. Maybe just give us the real Reader's Digest version of what that means.
In a commercial sense, it's sales. In a ministry sense, we are here to help underwrite the ministry of the Joy FM. And we do that through finding business and ministry partners.
Okay, very good.
So where you guys do the share-a-thon each year and get donors from our listeners, I go into the commercial entities and try to get support from businesses.
So community business partners who
Yeah.
believe in the mission of the
Right,
Joy FM
right,
and want to support
right.
us through their business.
It's exciting, man. I love what I do.
You've been doing this for a long time, too.
29 years now.
9 years. You must like it.
But yeah, I keep coming back. It's like,
Yeah, he has left and come back a number of times. There are quite a few of us that have that.
I left and came back once.
Only once?
Yes, just once.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. 11 years first time, 9 years second time here.
All right. I think the obvious thing that you can see on Ken's wall when you walk in is there are lots of certificates on this wall right behind his desk. And what would you, is there just one thing that all of this represents?
Well,
to
some
you?
of these are certifications. Some of this has to do with my Navy career that I had. Appreciations of being involved in chambers of commerces. I'm in about 11 or 12 different chambers of commerces. My highlight would be 2016. I was named the ambassador of the year for the Cobb Chamber of Commerce, which is one of the top 5 chambers in the country.
Wow.
And
for
then
Cobb County.
And then the following year, I was the chairman of the ambassadors. That's an exciting part of my service to the community. So that's what most of these are.
And there's another picture on this wall too, right above all those certifications, and it is a very dated photo.
That was a long
Ken.
With the big circles on it.
That's his glasses.
This is Napoleon Dynamite.
You do look like Napoleon Dynamite in that.
Yes.
The curly hair.
That's when it started. That was actually, I think, my 3rd year of radio. I started out with a small station in Warner Robins, went to this station, and I was there 6.5 years.
What
and
station was that at?
It was WBML. It was an AM station, the first contemporary Christian station in Macon, Georgia. I eventually became manager of the station and was there 6.5 years.
And you did lots of on-air back in those days.
I was the morning show host. It was called Coffee with Ken.
How about that?
Yep, and it was
like
a lot
that.
of fun. I enjoyed it.
It's got a nice ring to it.
does, yeah.
Kind of like Ken's Corner on the refrigerator in the break room.
Maybe
you
we
know?
need to
We'll have to
stroll
walk
over
over there,
there
yeah.
when we get done in
You
his
guys-
office real quick. Do you have anything up there?
There is something up there right now.
Is it appropriate for the podcast?
I don't know.
Yeah, see what
I
what
try
happens,
to keep it appropriate, but
Ken is infamous for putting things on the refrigerator, just, memes and cartoons and stuff. And Ken, I don't know if you know this, but I'm responsible for printing out Ken's Corner and putting it on the
who did that.
refrigerator.
I thought maybe it was Sherry or Kelsey.
Well, I wanted to wait
Okay.
until we recorded this to reveal that to you.
Okay.
Just an element of surprise, but
I'm
yeah.
honored.
Yes, well, good, as you should be, because that you keep us laughing with the stuff that you paste
Yes,
on the
yeah.
refrigerator.
And then you have the Pepsi clock.
That was given to me. I used to have another clock hanging up there. And
You did, and I wanted to come in here and see where it was because I was really giving you the big buildup on this clock with the guys.
Well, it's on the bottom shelf down here.
Does it work?
Yes, it works. The batteries are in it. We're still
All right.
ticking away,
Let's
but I
see
had
if
to
we
cover it up.
Get over there and
because
grab it.
It is light sensitive. I come from a big family, and my dad or mom would used to give us all the same gift, and this is one of them. Mine is the only one that survived. It actually chirps. So when it
Really?
gets to the top of each hour, like when it gets to 12 o'clock, the hoot owl will hoot away.
The great horned
And
owl.
all
All of
these
them are
birds.
labeled there. That's
And they're
awesome.
all labeled, so at a particular hour, that bird will sound off, so you know what hour it is.
Wow. So
the
if we
bad
continue
thing
to
is-
talk to you for another 25 minutes, we
Yeah,
won't
that's
hear what
enough.
it
It
is.
will go
We'll
off
come
now.
back.
The problem is it's light sensitive. So if some reason you leave a light on in your bedroom and you have this in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, you've got the black capped chickadee will go off at 2 o'clock in the morning. And people will get tired of that.
Well, your office neighbors have gotten tired of that.
Yeah,
That's why
and
you've
so
got it off
I
the
eventually
wall.
took it off and I laid something on top of it so the light will not penetrate, and it goes off in the middle of us trying to work. And what is that? What are you doing? So. in a
Well,
way.
there is another picture of a couple of birds that I wanted to
Yes.
get you to tell us the story
Now-
of, too. There are a couple of ducks in this picture. And
This
it's
actually
beautiful.
is my wife is an artist, and she actually painted this, and this is
I
actual.
did not know that.
This is actually the painting. She submitted this to the National Duck Stamp contest they do
yeah.
every year. When you go duck hunting, you have to buy a federal duck stamp to put on your hunting license. And so they accept artwork from artists all over the country. When they go through the process, you have red and green lights, and if you get at least 2 green lights, then it goes forward. And my wife received 2 green the first time, so it made it through the first round, but not the second. And it goes through about 5 different processes. So, but anyway,
That looks like it could be hanging in a gallery.
Yeah, it
guys.
does. It really
It
does.
absolutely- She is so talented.
she's a very good artist.
Yeah.
Hasn't been able to do it a lot lately with her illness. So.
Yeah, and we saw her recently at the Christmas party. Lorraine looked really good,
She is,
but she
doing well.
has been through it.
She's been through a lot. In
Yeah.
fact, and one of the things that you and I talked about earlier is the things on my wall. It's not really about that anymore. Because if you saw what my walls used to have on them, it's really about the things that aren't on my wall. About what's going through my life right now. Because my wall used to have deer heads and all kinds of mounted animals and things like that. And my whole life, if I shared part of my testimony, my whole life has been more about centered around who I am rather than what I am to my family. And God really did a work in me to take that self-centeredness away. And when I did that, I began to lose some of the things that are on my wall intentionally, just to get those out of my life and to become more centered on my family and what He wants me to be for them and the example He wants me to be to them. So I enjoy what's on my wall, but to me, it's the things that aren't on my wall that means more because I had to get rid of them. They could have no more place in my life. God had to be center. My family had to come second. And at one time it was me first, and then my family, and then maybe God fit in there somewhere. And that's not the case anymore.
And in this past year, with Lorraine being as sick as she has been, you certainly have to drop every bit of concern that you have for your concerns and place all of your energy on her. And I know that that's been a trying time for you.
It has been, and in all of this, God has taught us. And I think that's the key word, is He teaches. He has taught us to trust Him. And we're in total trust that whatever we're going through in our family, it doesn't matter whether it's me or my daughter or my son or my son-in-law, or my kids. There's 11 people in my house.
Right.
And most
it's
people,
not been just your wife
no,
that's had
no,
illness.
There's been multiple things this year.
Yeah,
multiple things. My wife's been the most serious of those because at one time we thought we were going to lose her. But God's in control. And my wife has never been stronger spiritually. So it's been great. I mean, really, even though it's been trying, it's been great because God is teaching us. I'm in control. Trust me.
Some of those lessons are hard, and some of them we only learn because they're so difficult, and you don't want to have to repeat that. I tell, whenever I go through something difficult, it's like I don't have to go through this again. I'm going to learn it and try and get it right.
And the best way to do that is learn to find your joy in the Lord. And you have joy in the Lord, you can't lose that. I don't care what you face. I don't care if you're going through persecution because of His sake. You'll find joy in the Lord. It's in here, not here. It's joy.
And for those who didn't see him, he pointed to his heart and not his head.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us invade your office,
Sure.
man.
Glad to be part of this family, man.
Ken talked about finding joy in the midst of the circumstances that he was dealing with his wife, Lorraine, and it's still going on to this day. And that wasn't just the only mention of finding joy in the sadness, in the hard times. You heard Ashley talk about her struggles that she had with her losing her parents to cancer.
Yeah.
And her going through her own cancer battle, but yet she still finds time to help those that are dealing with their struggles. She serves in her cancer care ministry at her church.
Right.
And, that just seemed to be the underlying theme throughout this whole episode, finding joy in the midst of sadness and struggles. And Jerry, you lost your dad
just a couple of
years ago. And isn't his birthday is around
December
the holiday
5th.
season?
Yeah,
Yes.
December the 5th.
Benji, you unfortunately very recently lost your stepdad.
That's right.
Going into this holiday season. And For me personally, it was 26 years ago, the week before Christmas, I lost my mom to a long battle with lupus. You know, it can be hard to look for joy when we're faced with sadness in our lives, whether it be this time of the year, Christmas time, or any time of the year, really. But it's in those times of despair when we really need to turn to Jesus, because it's through him we will find that joy. And it's through him we will experience peace. And if you look at the scriptures, the Apostle Paul encourages us to do that in his letter to the Philippians. Philippians chapter 4, starting with verse 5. Make it as clear as you can to all you meet that you're on their side, working with them and not against them. Help them see the master is about to arrive. He could show up at any minute. Don't fret or worry. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life. And I that's the Message version. And I love that version, because sometimes when I'm reading scriptures, I'll look at different versions and, you know, I'll go, but when I read the Message version, it's like hitting me in the back of the head. This is what it's all about. And I just love that sense there. It's a sense of God's wholeness when Christ displaces the worry at the center of your life. I love that line there. Joy and happiness are two different things. Happiness is a temporary thing, and it a lot of times is based on circumstances. But joy, on the other hand, is a feeling that's within us despite our circumstances, whatever is going on in our lives. It's more of an attitude. And, you know, we're going to face those trials in our lives, but it's how we face those trials that will determine the joy that we have. And the way that we can do that is through a life with Jesus and relying on him to get us through those circumstances, to bring us that peace and joy, to be able to fight that. And I think for me, when I was going through that time, when mourning my mom's passing, especially around the Christmas time, surrounding myself with people that helped me focus on Jesus and find that joy that I needed to help me get through that circumstance. And maybe that's something you might need to do. You might need to surround yourself with people who will help you find joy. But maybe you might be in a situation right now where that's a hard thing. You don't have anybody to do that. Well, we here at the Joy FM have a way we can help you with that. We have people that are manning what we call the Joy FM's Prayer and Crisis Counseling Hotline. And it's a way for you to talk to someone, to find joy even through the midst of your struggles, the midst of your sadness. Call this number, 877-800-PRAY. 877-800-7729, and let us help you find the joy in the midst of your circumstances right now.
Yeah, and we'll put that number in the show notes, too, for you if you didn't have something to jot that down with while you were listening. Something was shared with me on Facebook recently, and it was my own dad, who I've not had in my life since 1992 when he passed, and it was a picture of my dad. Whew. Goodness. Sorry. You see your father's eyes, you know, and you hadn't seen him. And I'm just, that's the image that sticks in my brain is, you know, my dad working hard at Christmas time, dressing up like Santa Claus, and my mom taking the pictures of all the kids in LaGrange, Georgia, where I grew up, sitting on my dad's lap. And he just brought so much joy to so many people, and he practiced that ho, 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 and he had it down. He was Santa, you know, but the great thing that I think we can all hang on to, even though we don't have these loved ones in our lives, is the fact that they brought joy to us when they were here.
Yes.
And we can celebrate the fact that we had them in our lives, and we will never lose the memories of our cherished loved ones this time of year.
And I think the other thing about sorrow, suffering, sadness, and Paul talks about this as well, is that once we have gone through that ourselves, we are then able to offer that comfort to others who are going through the same thing. And there's not one of us who either haven't or will not experience sorrow at some level. That's
Right.
something that is universal. We're all going to go through it, but we can all, because of the strength and the peace and the joy that we find in Jesus, share that comfort with one another. And sometimes that's just putting your arm around them, or just listening to them, or just crying with them. Because let's face it, there's not a lot of things that you can say sometimes when that sorrow is fresh, except for to let them know that you're there. And while you might not understand exactly their specific situation, you understand that they need some joy and some peace, and you can be there for them.
Absolutely. Well, guys, coming up on the next episode of the Finding Joy podcast, we travel to Griffin, Georgia, and we talk with an old friend. I say that because he's been involved with the Joy FM and our local artist spotlight, and he is the guy of Jason Horde Productions. He's Jason Horde, and he produces music. He makes music. He's music, man.
So talented, really. My
so
goodness.
talented. Here's a little clip of what's to come.
It was around this time of the year. It was around the Christmas season. So after it was all done, I was like, I play mandolin, and I would love to one day, and then, just play with you. So if that ever happens again, she knows about it. I can go back and say, in '98, we talked about that. But knowing her, she would remember. Like Ricky Skaggs is the same way. We played the opera recently with Ricky Skaggs. And he remembers, he was like, I remember meeting you a couple of years ago at so-and-so, and
Wow.
Do you
time with my
guys see
daughter.
how he just casually said that? He played the Grand Ole Opry with Ricky Skaggs.
Well, I was wondering if that name was going to come up. It was really great seeing Jason again. It had been probably 15 years or more since I had seen him last. Great to get reacquainted with him. Like you said, very talented. Some special things coming up in that episode, which will be available Thursday, January the 2nd.
Hey, look, if you like the Finding Joy podcast, please give us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review as well. If your star rating is not 5, email us at findingjoypodcast@thejoyfm.com. You can also email us suggestions on a future subject for the podcast.
Absolutely. And, you can listen to the Finding Joy podcast on all of the subscription services like Apple and what do we got? Spotify, Google, Stitcher, right. And also through your smart speaker as well.
That's right.
Make sure you enunciate. I'm having a hard time getting them to play ours. Also on our website, thejoyfm.com, make sure you click on Georgia, and then the on-air tab, scroll down, you'll see the Finding Joy podcast. And that's where we put a lot of bonus material as well.
And we'll link you up to all of that in the show notes if you want to just follow a link from the podcast that you downloaded. Well, we promised you a little Christmas gift at the end of this episode, and I think it's time to unwrap that.
We get to open it up now?
Here we
Oh,
go.
good.
Yes.
I know what it is. I peeked. I shook it to see what it sounded like.
Well, this is just a little bit of what you'll hear in the episode with Jason Horde. We sat down with him at Safe House Coffee in Griffin, and he played us a few tunes, one of which is on his new Bluegrass Christmas EP, which is available at jasonhorde.com. And why don't we just get to it?
2, 3, 4.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Sing all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, born the King of angels. Oh, come let us adore
Christ the Lord.
Thank you.
I hope you guys didn't mind us interrupting your coffee up there.
I know they quit talking. I was like, y'all keep talking. That makes me nervous.